No, you funny. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for everyone that is going to be joining or listening to the replay. Before we begin, we just like everyone to listen, tag, and share. We have some great wisdom to share with you all today. We titled this message on today, Wednesday Wisdom, Letting Go. And again, I'm going to repeat the acronyms of what GLOW stands for, and it's God, Love, Order, and Wisdom. For those, whether you agree with the Bible or not, as three Christian counselors, God had us really study the Bible for about a year and a half and really get an understanding of the Bible. What all three of us came to understand about the Bible, if we took religion out of it, the book is full of wisdom. So, how we counsel, how we discuss things amongst ourselves, who we seek counsel from, are those that receive counsel from Holy Spirit and the Bible. So, on Wisdoms from now on, we're going to be sharing our wisdom that we have received from God, from Holy Spirit, from those that we are connected to, our church homes, our apostles, our pastors, our friends who get their wisdom from God. You know, in the Bible, why God made us three wise counselors, but he says that for us all to have wise counsel in a world where it's full of chaos, in a world where it's full of issues and problems, and we can't figure things out on our own, it's important that we have wise counsel. So on Wednesdays, we're going to be doing Wisdom Wednesdays because it's important that we share with you guys one of the acronyms for GLOW, which is wisdom. So on Monday, we discussed the importance of letting go. We gave you all a scriptural approach and also a therapeutic approach about why it's so important to let go. But on Wednesdays, we wanted to expound on the mental health topic that we share on Mondays. So, you guys know us by now. We always start with a scripture, and I'm going to give you some understanding and some wisdom today on the importance of let it go. So, when talking about this subject, my team and I, the biggest thing that stood out to me was the story of Lot's wife. And I want to give you guys in context the wisdom of this. And then my team and I, we're simply going to break it down. And we look forward to hearing and receiving any feedback from this, but letting go. So in Genesis 19 is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And this was a city that was full of everything that you everything that we see in this world today. uh um a lot of perversion, lies, deceit, rape, bestiality. The city was to God, it angered God so much he said that he was going to destroy this city, and this is a lot like what we see today in this world. But two angels came to Lot's house, and they told them pretty much, you got an opportunity, you got a warning, and this is what we're talking with you all about, pretty much to get out that city. This city is about to be destroyed. So I'm going to start with Genesis 24. I would say down to 26, and I'm just going to break it down. It says, Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them along with the other cities, wiping out all the people and every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. This in life where we can't afford to turn back and to look back at our past, to look back at everything that we've been through. Or to me, the past is everything that was meant to destroy us but didn't. You continue to repeat the cycles of what was meant to destroy you, turns you really into a pillar of salt. It makes you unmovable, it makes you stuck. This is a time, like we shared on Monday, where it is important to not be hindered by things of the past. And I also want to proceed this by saying, even if you're in the midst of something, I want to assure you that there's a other side to this. When the angels came to Lot's house, they told them to move forward, to go to a place where they wouldn't be destroyed. So even as the city was being destroyed, they were on their way out. And I want to say that to someone today. You could be in the midst of chaos, but God has already given you a way out. But if you choose to stay in the situation, you stay in the places and things that God is trying to remove you from, you can't be upset when you're destroyed. I know I've said a lot. I've started it out, but ladies, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
That was good, Gail. The story of Lot's wife is always a very good one because it shows you the power of her husband completely following God and His word and what He says, and being obedient to that, and then his wife obviously being stuck in what she's known. The biggest thing we find the difficulty of always letting go is that people are stuck on what they have. And what God's trying to tell us is that I have something better for you. And people having the fear of not knowing what's to come up next. Um, Letting go requires you to have complete faith in Him. And oftentimes, faith and fear can't exist in the same room. So either you're gonna have faith or you're gonna have fear. They can't exist in the same time in the same space. And so we have to. One of the things as believers, we have to let people know that you have to have the faith that what you're currently in isn't good for you, and most of us always know that. But I'd rather function in with the future where God can hold than be bound by the past by simply not letting go.
Oh, that's good. That's good,
Yeah.
Darnisha.
I was going to say, for me, I was thinking about letting go as far as from a grief standpoint,
Mm.
because I feel like a lot of times we hold on um, to the loss of people. Um, and so, in that, you think about it as far as like I'm holding on to not wanting to let them go, and they're no longer here, and the pain that it can cause in that separation. But understanding that if I don't let you go, then I die, even though I'm still alive. And so, we have to make sure that we are consciously aware of the things that we're holding on to, because when it comes to grief and loss, we can't change the outcome. And so that means now I have to live for the day. I have to live. Um, I have to choose to live, because if I die with you, then I still can't walk into all that God has for me, because I've died when you died. And so we have to be careful, and we have to be mindful of that when it comes to grief and loss, that it's okay to let them go as well.
Man, that's really good. For those that don't know, I wrote a book about the loss of my child, Michael. And I say that in my book, I literally died when he died. And I know that's hard to explain. Like, I was here on earth, but I was not connected to earth at this time. Like, I was going through my day to day, but I was stuck in what I had lost. It took me about a year and a half to even realize that I was not moving forward. And one day I had to go to God, like, well, then how do I move forward with such a tragedy, with such a loss, and the loss that I experienced? And you're right, Tatiana. I had to Here's the thing, and God just said this to me: the same way that you can allow your mind and your heart to agree to hold on to a thing, you can also allow your mind and heart to agree to let a thing go. When I allowed myself to let things go in my life, it gave me a reassurance that I can move forward with anything. That one situation in life taught me, when it's over, it's over. And it's okay to move forward. And I'm speaking about my child. But I want to pose this question to you guys, because we talk about grief in a sense of loss when someone dies, but we also grieve people that are still on earth and grieve things that are still here.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. You know, on the subject of grief, and letting go, you can grieve anything, and I think that was one of the most interesting things I learned in grad school going through counseling, was the fact that people grieve so many things. The grief of divorce, the
Yeah.
grief of friendships and relationships ending, and these people are still good and well alive. And you're having to grieve no longer having that relationship with them anymore, especially knowing that they're physically here, or you even still may have access to them, or you travel in the same circles, things of that such, and understanding that you can no longer function the same way with them because you, for whatever reason, you've had to let go. But what I found in letting people go is that how good God is. he shows us why we had to let them go. That's the one of the ones thing we
Yeah.
all as humans we want to know why. It's a why to everything. Like why this, why that. And what I find is when I let people go, even people I didn't want to let go, people I was so gun ho, but when I truly like was walked away, God would show me why I walked. Like this is why I was telling you to let this go. This is why I was telling you can't hang on to this person. That this person was not good for you, and it was mind boggling. And that revelation came much after letting that person go. It wasn't like right at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally time, a certain amount of time had passed, quite a bit of time in some situations, um, of that realization that God normally gives us. And you guys have been divorced. I really want you guys to speak on the actually having to let go of what you thought marriage was going to look like,
Dang, I'm friends with
especially.
my ex on social media now. Okay, we can talk
But I
about it.
really want
I'm
y'all to
not.
really, because that's not, thankfully, thank God it's not something I experienced. So the grieving the loss, but obviously, I've had clients who've been divorced and still talk and still in so much hurt behind it,
Mhm.
or whatever. But, still, you grieve a lot of things in that process, especially if you have children with these people. You still having to interact with them and understanding that what you thought you knew about marriage and that marriage in particularly, um, and having to be okay with letting a part of your life completely change and let go. So I'll let y'all speak on that
I
from
think
that
that's actually
perspective.
really good. I'll share from my own experience. Like during that time, I was grieving the loss of a child, the loss of a family that I had created, and then my oldest son dad passed in a matter of a year and a half. So loss at the loss at the loss at the loss. And what I understood about the loss, even in that moment, I said, God, well, I'm just gonna let everything go. That's what I did. I moved. I let friendships had to fall off, all these things. But what I didn't understand, like what you said on the other side of this, he literally made me a new person. Everything that hurt me, I had to truly give it to God and let it go for a season. It was a time I didn't talk about Michael. It was a time I didn't talk to my ex. God dropped me from friends. I didn't talk to anyone. It was well, we call it consecration, but God literally got me to a space where I was just to myself and him. I appreciate that because it taught me a relationship with God in a way that, I mean, it's building even now. I know, I share about God all day long on my posts. I really love him. At a time where he secluded me from everything that I had known, I got to know myself. And a lot of times that's grief, I can say for all three of us. Now when God tells us to let go of a thing, we let it go. I don't even want to go through a grieving process like that. When he tells me it's time now, I understand it's time. But with grief, why we mourn a thing is because we have, I would say, unhealthy attachments to people, places, and things. We
Mhm.
have to learn what a healthy attachment is to everything, because God says it's a season for all things in Ecclesiastes. Everything, even good things, come to an end. And so, what I've learned from just going through a divorce, from child loss, from I've never really lost a job. I've left jobs and things of that nature. Is that know when it's time to let a thing go, and God can always replace it with something better. I've learned to just enjoy it when I have it. That
Mhm.
makes sense. And
Mhm.
when it's time to let it go, I can easily let it go. But you have to go through the process of truly walking with God on certain things to really understand the revelation and the lesson that He wants to teach you. This is why it becomes wisdom, what we're sharing
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, for me, as far as I could speak on, those things as far as with divorce as well. But what I love about God is that He always prepares you for
Yeah.
what you're about to get ready to experience. And so, even though I didn't know when it would come to an end, as far as the date, I knew it was coming to an end. So He was already preparing me. And so, what we have to understand about the love of our Father is that he will allow us to experience the things that we want, um, and go through the hardships if that's what we choose to do, just to make sure that we know that it's not about the other person, that it's about us. So the
Mhm.
things that we're having to let go of is for us. It's that means he's trying to get our attention in some way. That means
Right.
he's trying to get something to us. He's trying to get something through us. But he's doing it for us. He loves us so much that he's like, okay, if it takes you the hard way to get it, then that's what we're gonna do then. But I love him that he will never drop you in the process. He will never allow you to lose yourself. And so I love God so much in that sense of he didn't, crush me to the point of where I couldn't come back from the crushing. And so I'm grateful for the things that he allowed to have to die off of me and, to prune me from for me to see my true value and my true worth. Because a lot of times we get in situations and things, whether it's jobs, friendships, or relationships, and we settle in those things because we believe that's all we're good enough to have in those moments. But
Mhm.
God even has to show us even then, hey, you're worth more than that. You're more valuable to me. So if I value you more, then now you got to get into a place to where people value you more. And so
Absolutely.
us having to walk away from jobs, things, and people is only because they don't know the true value. They see the value, but they don't know the value. And that's a difference. People can see and know that you're worth something, but they don't know how expensive you are because they don't know what you've had to go through to get to where you're going. And so we have to look at all those aspects of life. I know I've been through the pressure, I've been through the fire. So guess what? This diamond that you see today wasn't made overnight. And so but you don't know how I was made. So don't come to me or expecting that I'm going to settle now as if I don't know my worth now because I know what I've had to walk through. And so we
Mhm.
just have to be mindful. We have to be careful of the processes of life and the things, and not to allow ourselves to keep holding on and not willing to let go when it's time, because time is crucial. And
Mhm.
even though
That's
God can redeem time, time is the one thing that you will see that you will not truly get back, because you can't go back to 1988. You can't go back to 2001. And so we have to think about those things as well. Time is important, and truthfully, we don't have time to keep wasting time.
Mhm. It's good. That's one of the things I always talk about. We talk about in marriage counseling and just counseling in general is that, our time is valuable, and we only get so much of it. And we have to be sure that we understand that that's one of the few things that we can't get back. We can't get today back. We can't get yesterday back. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but once it comes, we can't get that back either. Um, and we have to be mindful of that. I think we can all attest to times in our lives where when we look back on it, like that was a massive waste of time. I learned a valuable lesson though, and so
very.
I won't waste that amount of time ever again.
Mhm.
And so I will try to make my years to come a lot more valuable, useful, and of course make it out to the glory of God. And sometimes we're such a society that likes things, stuff, and people that the idea of having less of that is is mind boggling. But you can live a great life. You can live a life of Christ and not have a whole bunch. And I'm not even just talking about material things in the sense. I'm talking about not having a whole bunch of friends. I'm talking about not having a whole bunch of toxicity in your life. I'm talking about those things that have that we assess value to, and it's not given a value. Like stuff is given a value. Oh, this is $10. This is $1,000. People we assess value to. We also assess value to things, and so you can live without a whole lot of that and just exactly what God wants you to have and need, and live a very prosperous, happy, abundant, Christ filled life. And I think society and social media and the world has warped our brain to think that we need a whole lot when really we don't.
Uh,
And it just made me think about some of the old folks. I always just say, you're gonna only have a few good friends. You might know a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
But you really gonna have a few good friends that you can depend on and call on. And as we're approaching this stage in our life, we 100% understand what that means now.
Yeah.
When you were talking, Darnisha, I wrote down quantity versus quality. That's all I
Absolutely.
was hearing when you were talking, but you're right. I remember having so many friends. Well, y'all say I still got a lot of friends, but
You
I
say
Hey, you got a lot of friends.
no,
it.
I remember having so many people around me, and I promise you, that's probably when my life was the most chaotic, when I was going through hell. When my life came to a peaceful state, I don't have many people around me, and it really taught me something. The people, for the things that I've walked through since then, it's not a lot of people that was around me, but it was the quality of people that I had, people of wisdom, people of God, people that could help me walk through certain things. When it was so many people around a crowd, they was just more spectators. They wasn't helping. I think about Jesus and the disciples, and they would go into crowds of people, but they never really befriended many of them. It was just 12 of them. And these people were some heavy hitters. He didn't need a lot of people. I think about Gideon's army, where it went from 3,000, an army of 3,000 to 300. They didn't need a lot of people to defeat their enemies. So when we're talking about in the sense of letting go and quality versus quantity, I'd rather have two good purses that are quality purses that'll never break down than to have 100 purses that the latches is broken off. You can't button it, can't zip up the zipper because just to say I got a lot. And where we are headed, less is more. When you carrying a lot, you can't do too much.
Exactly.
And this is why it's important to let go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think I equated it to like we equate to like spring cleaning or hoarders. If you, I don't know if you ever seen the show when it was on Hoarders Buried Alive.
Love
But
orders.
what that show showed that people had a lot of stuff that they assess value to. Now, mind you, this stuff has no value unless people assess value to it. And it was literally not only debilitating from a physical standpoint, but mentally, because they will always have some type of psychologist or therapist to really get down to the root cause of why they needed all this stuff. I mean, from a physical standpoint, they didn't need all this stuff. They assessed value to it on their own. And that's what we do to people and things that don't necessarily serve us a purpose. You know, the people who are close to me, they are valuable. They are valuable to me. They're valuable to me because they've shown and proven to be valuable. I didn't make them into something that they weren't, which we do a lot in relationships,
That's
friendships.
good. That's good.
We give them way more value than they've actually proven, right? And so when God is telling you, you got to leave that, let that toxic friendship go, you got to let that relationship go, it's because they do not value who you are. They have not shown their self approved to be valuable enough for you.
Or to
But you
understand.
yourself in the flesh have given them value that they don't even deserve.
Yeah.
And so we have to check ourselves on that. That's really an internal thing. We have to check ourselves on that, giving people value and things value that they don't really haven't proven themselves to be, or God has told you that this isn't the person that you need to go on this stage of life with. And that's hard to lead people. But where God is trying to take you, God's like, this is not the person that's going to be able to walk this process to you. And so also, letting go does not always have to be a bad thing. We always talk about letting go of things as if this got to be this emotional breakdown type of, lifetime movie type situation. It doesn't have to be that. It can simply be like, I wish you well, I love you, I care about you, but I'm going here and you going there, and we have to part ways here in the middle.
But the truth is, people don't like that. I've done that. I'm always the nice separator. But when people are used to a certain you or used to using you, and you start
Mm-hmm.
to realize it, it usually is not such an easy separation to let go because of that other person. But it is what it is. Let them say what they gonna say. Let them do what they gonna do. You know the truth. God knows the truth. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like we have to let go of expectations that we put on people, places, and things as
Mm-hmm.
well. Because I feel like a lot of times it's harder to let go of the expectation that we had. And
Yeah.
so, because we believe that people are going to be like us because that's who we are, right? And that's not always the case. And so, if we start actually evaluating and actually being more open about the expectations that we have versus keeping them unspoken, then we won't actually go into partnerships, relationships, or jobs or whatever and expect something different. And so a lot of times too, it's just like, man, I thought this was going to play out differently in my life, but it didn't play out that way because you never spoke that that's how you wanted it to be done. And so we got to let go of those unspoken expectations. We have to make sure that we are doing a better job just in general as a people to make sure that we aren't so quick to just jump in and start doing life with people. We have to really, start doing, more evaluations of, the things that we want to see in our lives. And so it's easier, it will become easier to let go of the things that you're outgrowing when you know it's just time to go to something new and different versus just believing that this person or this thing was the thing of your life. And when we start looking at things like marriage, like, oh, I can't wait to get married, once I get married my life is going to change. No, actually, if you don't change, you getting married doesn't do anything but put a band-aid over the problem and issues. And guess what, the problems and issues normally exemplify even more and come out even more because you haven't dealt with it. So if we start doing things as individuals, then when we start doing relationships, business partnerships, and all those things, friendships with people, then when we're doing it from a healed place, a healthy place, it's easier to walk away from things. It's easier to walk away from people.
Yes.
I agree.
Um, just a little bit of comments, and thank you all that are watching. I got some comments from my page too, but Tia, hey Tia, she said that is true. During your quiet time and growth, does show you who is really in your circle. Shakita, I think I'm saying it right, Shakita, but thank you for listening, Mani. They're just both saying that everything that what we're saying is true, and they just in agreement. But yeah, you right. I was just hearing what you said, Tatiana. I can't stand. I'm not gonna say I hate. I can't stand when I be seeing posts like, "Oh, this person think they didn't did so and so," but I remember them from so and so back then. Like you can't move past your past. And I always say, that's an immature person because in God He grows you from glory to glory. I might have did that 5 years ago, but if I was even still doing that in 5 years, I would be looking at myself like, why am I still dealing with the same issues and problems? I don't talk to people that are ignorant, put it that way. So when you're talking about letting go and growth and what you were saying, Tatiana, about your future aspirations, I wouldn't think in July 2024 I would be on live speaking such wisdom. In 2017 or 2007, I was turned up somewhere in the club. I wouldn't have thought I would be sitting here today. But because God gave me the strength, the ability to let go of things, He knew the plans that He has for me. He know the plans that are coming up in the future.
Yeah.
I'm just being in agreement with God. Like, okay, this is what you have for my life. When He tells us something about ourselves, it's an agreement. So whatever doesn't line up with that, I do have to let it go. That's obedience.
Yeah.
And obedience don't always feel good,
No.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
the best for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think that's the one thing about growth in life, especially people who are not a part of your life, are not a part of the growth journey. You know what I'm saying? So you're expecting a version of me that doesn't even exist anymore. I think about every year we go to Langston for homecoming. Tatiana and I, well, not every year, but anyways, we do go to Langston for homecoming, and we see people we haven't seen in years. And it's great to see, people thriving and going in life. But it's funny the conversations we have afterwards with certain people, me and Tatiana, because they'd be like, I could tell this person was expecting a version of me that no longer exists just by the conversations that we have. They were expecting a 2007 23-year-old Darnisha mindset. And
No, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. We had to work this week because it's a short week with the 4th of July. So yes, but no. I'm hearing what you're saying
I'm
because it's
sorry, sorry, y'all. I'm in work, but anywho, they're expecting the 23-year-old Darnisha graduated from Langston in 2007, and the more mature, understanding, life experience Darnisha shows up, and
you don't
that's
got
just not
nothing.
what they get. And I don't revert back to that person when I'm at homecoming, where you do have some people who do that, like will revert back to their old college selves in that environment. And that's not who I am. And simply by having conversations with them, I could tell that that's the conversation and thing that they expected. And that's not what they get. God has shown me that your growth is important, and no matter what room you're in or who you're talking to, that they should see me in your growth. Point period blank. And I'm not stopping it for nobody. So if a guy I dated 10 years ago meets the me, it's my expectations. What I'm Our conversations are going to be totally different than the conversation we likely would have had 10 plus years ago.
Yeah,
The friendships that I had that I haven't really talked to, hey, we see each other here and there, but having our conversations is just going to look different. And that's part of also letting go of the old you. We're talking about people,
You
but we
have to
also
be.
got to let go of the old who we were
Mm,
and completely let it go.
yeah,
And say no. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. When I was like, no, I'm not going to that after party. I'm going home. I'm going to bed. Like, no, I'm not going. Because people expect a version of you and for you to stay in that spot, or at the very least participate as if you were in that time frame again, and your life has evolved. And so we have to understand that we also have to let go of the old versions of ourselves as we're moving along and as God is healing us through this process, as we're learning more in wisdom, that we also have to let go of the old who we were in mindsets and be okay with who God has you with right now and who He's training you up to be.
yeah.
that's
I was
good.
gonna say it's okay to reintroduce yourself
Absolutely.
to people because, like you said, people hold on to who the old version of you were at that particular time frame that they knew you. And
Mm-hmm.
so here's the thing: I don't even want you to be close to me if you still think I will operate like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Um, and just also understanding too that it's okay to show people that you've grown. It's
yeah.
okay to allow people to see, who you have become. Don't be afraid of to show your growth. And so I feel like a lot of times we still try to be like, oh, I don't. It's not that I think I'm better than you, but it's to show you that God has done it for me. So if He's done it for me, He can do it for you too, and be
Mhm.
okay with that. And so I just had kept hearing that, when it comes to our steps, just knowing that they're already ordered. So the word says the steps of a righteous man are ordered. And so my thing is that even though we go off of the path of what God may have planned for us, doesn't mean that He's not willing to order us and redirect us right back to where we were already supposed to be. And a lot of times He will put us in a place to where it's just not, not going to put you right on time. He's going to actually put you where you were already supposed to be. And so He will take you up, and take you further. And so we're on time. And don't think that just because you haven't come to the place of where people believe that you should be, that you're not where you're supposed to be. And so it's okay when you see things, moving a certain way. It's all right. And so we have to be okay with who we are and who we're becoming. And we have to be okay that our destiny does not always look like everybody else's. And it's okay to let go of the old lifestyles, the old ways of thinking, the old habits, the old. It's okay to let the old go. When God says that He is doing a new thing, do you not see it? Do y'all not see
Yeah,
what's
43.
transpiring?
Yep.
Right now. So it's like, but here's the thing, I'm okay with God doing something new or whatever, because I'm the person, I hate routine. So I'm like, my life is looking a little routine. I'm gonna need you to shake that up. I need something different. Because I don't
God, like, oh, okay, here I go.
I don't want to wake up and do the exact same thing like I'm a robot. I don't want to keep doing the exact same thing over and over, saying the exact same thing over and over, saying the exact same thing over and over. It's okay. I want something different. And so, believe me, yes, my life has been shaken up. I am most definitely experiencing something new, but something new that is going to transform my life forever. So, I'm
Yes, yes,
excited
yes,
for this information.
definitely. I was just gonna end with that, but literally when you were saying that, I was thinking about Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. God is doing a new thing. Um, I just want to give you a little bit of insight on when you know it's time to
Mhm.
let something go. When you see a new thing transpiring, he giving you a choice at that moment. You gonna hold on to that, or you gonna go towards this. Even in
Mhm.
our lives, we've been seeing a new thing going on, and people might not be understanding as therapists, like, why they switching up, why they changing things. We can identify, even if we don't know what the new thing is, something is transpiring, something is changing in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to require us to let go of some things. So when you see things shifting, that's the word that we use a lot. When we see something shifting and it's going in a different direction, you better go along with the direction that it's going in. And God says you can lose your life and follow him, and he's gonna give you everything that you were looking for, or you can keep it and you're gonna lose it. So I'd rather lose whatever if it means that I'm getting towards what God truly put me here on this earth to do. We're not on this earth just to enjoy trips, just to enjoy the luxuries of life, just to just be turned up every day. We here for a purpose. And this is the whole reason why healing is necessary, growth is necessary, letting go is necessary. Um, we don't know the hour or the day or the time we're gonna leave this earth. And I would hate, for us or anybody to leave this earth and not actually do what you were supposed to do while you was on this earth, because we was turned up and living our best life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a purpose, that we're here for as well. You're supposed to be doing something with the time that you have. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're holding on to
Yes.
old things in a present time today, you're not any closer to getting to that, and you don't know the time that you have left. It's like
Yes.
Lot's wife, going back to what we even introduced, she turned into a pillar of salt. Her life was over because she refused to let go of the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. Imani, Shakita, Shakita. I hope I'm saying it right, but correct me. Tia, Elnora, all the people that were listening. I saw a lot of people watching today. Please listen, please tag, please share. We'll be back Monday with our Mental Health Mondays. We thank you guys for listening, and thank you for tuning in to G.L.O.W.